Please help save Antionette Hall. Consider booking a ghost tour, buying merchandise, or giving a donation on their website at AntionetteHall.com. Link is below in the description. Thank you so much.
Which one of you guys is going to protect me?
I got you. Okay. Oh, wow.
Dad says those were definitely boots.
Yeah, they sounded like heavy boots. When we came out, and nobody had any boots on, and when they came out of the attic, I said, "Let me see your feet," and they had tennis shoes on.
Yeah.
And
We have a spirit that we affectionately call Mr. Nasty. He is a male spirit that is very possessive of his space. He doesn't like people in it. He doesn't really like men at all.
What's the matter? Are y'all done?
I'm just thinking, yeah, that was a lot.
I'm going to go upstairs and do a little bit of a lone challenge because I know nobody's up there right now. Okay guys, what I'm attempting to do is record in this room. What I'm attempting to do is record in this room. Imagine that you're a member of Historical Society and you decide to come to Pulaski, Tennessee to lease out a building for arts and entertainment. As you're signing the lease, you notice the top of the building seems to have another structure above. You ask the owner, "What is up there?" He replies, "I don't know. I've never been there." So you climb the stairs leading to a bolted door. The owner unbolts the door, and you enter to see old office buildings. But then what catches your eye are these two tall, majestic doors. The owner unbolts them. To your amazement and astonishment, you see an old, abandoned opera house. This building was constructed in the 1800s as Antionette Hall. It later became known as the Pulaski Opera House. It closed its doors in the 1930s due to the popularity of movies overtaking art and opera and plays. The owners put plastic on the floor, bolted the buildings, and the old opera house was forgotten to time. But as you look into restoring this so beautiful place, you find out it's not only full of history, but of spirits as well. Join me as we go on a tour and paranormal investigation of Antionette Hall and its basement. In this series, we'll discover the history, delve into what lurks in the basement, and what spirits remain in the hall itself, under what is now the Star Theater. In this first video, we'll be learning about the history of the hall and of the town, and the spirits that dwell within. Let's get started.
Now, sit or stand, whatever makes you comfortable. So first of all, thank you all for coming. Your ticket, or however you want to put it, is a donation to Antionette Hall. We, as a team, the home team here, and we're PPF Investigations, if anybody wants to follow us on social media, we appreciate it. We donate our time. We don't make any money from this. We feel that it is a cause that needs to be saved, and when you get upstairs, you'll see why. We need about $10 million to save this historic location, so we appreciate you coming in and donating. Early 1868, there was a fire in the square. It burnt down this whole side of the square, And we'll see remnants of that when we get downstairs because they built right over the burnt foundation. So this building was erected in 1868, opened its doors on December 25th. Mr. Cox was the original owner. He wanted to bring more culture to Pulaski, so he decided to build an opera house. He did name it after his wife, who was Antionette. This downstairs here was kind of like a five and dime type store. Next to where the attorney's office is, that was a bank. There also is rumors that there was a toy store kind of in the basement, but again, whatever we can find in history, that's what we kind of have to go by. We don't know for sure. I'm lucky enough to work with a local historian here, so a lot of the things that you guys get as evidence, I can take back to the historian and try to match it up, and I'll give you examples of that as we go along. So December 25th, 1868, the doors opened. Went through 7 different owners, was never really profitable. They brought in all different kinds of acts, everything from musicians to opera to stage shows. It just never was profitable and changed hands. Closed its doors in the early 1930s and was not opened again until about 14 years ago. The current owners are a historical society. When they came into Pulaski, they were looking for a place to put a theater, came across this building, came in here, yes, we can build a stage here, we can do this. Went outside to sign the lease, looked up and said, what's upstairs? The current owner at the time was like, I don't know, never been up there. Let's go up and see. Went in, and as you go in, there is office space on both sides. Saw double doors in front of them that were bolted. What's in there? I don't know. Again, never been in there. Took bolt cutters, cut it open, and found Antionette Hall. So she had been sitting since the 1930s until about 13, 14 years ago. So there is remnants of that, have people that have been in there. There are names on the walls with dates. So there were some people in there in the 80s, probably broke in and vandalized a little bit. But so with that being said, we have, and you'll have access to all of upstairs. There is a balcony area which you can go in as well. You'll have access to the main theater here and then the basement. So you've got lots of space spread out. You guys will have free reign to go wherever you would like. With that being said, what may you experience tonight? We've got a couple different spirits upstairs. We call them our main residents. We have a spirit that we affectionately call Mr. Nasty. I don't know if anybody read on their website. He is a male spirit that is very possessive of his space. He doesn't like people in it. He doesn't really like men at all. We suggest that you do not provoke him. He will make you physically sick to the point of vomiting. He has been known to scratch and push people. I call him more of a creeper. You kind of feel like he comes up behind you and shows his presence. He's big, he's a smile face. Interesting side note to Mr. Nasty. We had a medium come in, and whether you believe in mediums or not, and said that Mr. Nasty doesn't like you to call him Mr. Nasty, he's a previous owner. So I went in with my team, and which is all female, and we went in there and we called out the names of the owners. And when we got to T.H. May, which is Thomas H. May, we audibly heard a male's voice. We were recording it. When we listened back, it said correct answer. So we know who it is. And which makes sense. It was his theater. He likes his space. He likes it. He doesn't want anybody in it. We don't know whether he sees it the way that it is now or the way that it was, but regardless, it's his space. So hopefully you will encounter him. He does show himself as cold spots, and if it's very hot up there, if you come across a cold spot, you'll know it's not not something of this world. But I'll show you the hot spots that he normally hangs out in. So hopefully you will encounter him tonight. Again, I would suggest not to provoke him. The second spirit that you may come in contact with is Josie or Josette. She is from the 1800s time period. Mr. May is also in that time period when he owned the theater. She either worked here or lived in the area She has told us that she had an affair with a married man, and that she did have a child. So I took this information to the historian, and I said, here's what I got. And they came back. They found a Jessie Phelps that lived her whole life in Pulaski, actually lived a couple blocks down the street. The 1910 census tells us that she was unmarried, lived with her cousins, and made her own money. Now, what's a woman in 1910 going to do to make her own money? I think she was a taken care of woman. So she is here. She's buried in the local cemetery here, so she never left. She died in the 1940s of throat cancer. And if you experience her, she likes flashlights. She will light them up. She will sometimes do the dowsing rods, but she likes more of the flashlight interaction, especially if you put them along the stage. Now, if Mr. Mays will allow her to speak. We don't know if there was a connection there. Mr. Mays was married, but that doesn't mean anything. So we don't know whether they were really within the same time period, if they could see each other. But sometimes he won't allow her to come in. We have picked her voice up audibly in there, along with his, as I said before. So if you interact with her, she's very kind, she's very subtle. She's not like guns blazing, gonna light up everything. It's kind of get used to you and then come into a conversation. The third spirit that you may encounter up there is from a earlier time period. We would go up there and we kept getting a child spirit, a little girl. She's very playful, likes a lot of light up things like a child would. She likes to play with dowsing rods. She likes to spin them. And she's told us that she's between the ages of 6 and 8, and she died in a car accident. So again, I took this information to the historian, and she's like, you need to talk to the owner about this. So I went to the owner, and the owner was like, oh my God. We had a child actress who was 8 years old. Her name was Lily, and she died in a car accident 3 years ago. She loved to be here. She loved to act. And she's still here today. She likes to play. This is her magical world. And it's just interesting how the spirit can give us information and we can match it. So I will show you where she normally hangs out. We have heard her footsteps. We've caught giggles on EVPs. We've seen shadow figures run through the hallways. She will occasionally, if I'm up there, come up and hold my hand, just because I'm here all the time. She's used to me. But again, she's a child. She does like to play with things. So that's what you may encounter upstairs. Downstairs in the basement, well, let's do this floor. And you're more than welcome to investigate up here. Not a lot happens up here. We've heard the piano towards the bathroom do a few keys. About a month ago, I heard some knocking right up here as we were just sitting in here talking. But not a lot happens in this area. But again, if you want to investigate, we'll turn off the lights and let you do your thing. The basement is a completely different story. Basements are creepy. We get that. We have been told by several different mediums that have come in that there is a vortex in the basement. There's an area, which I will show you, where you will get K2 hits, REM pot hits, a lot of spirit box chatter. Flashlights, dowsing rods, everything. And a vortex is like an open door. Anything can come through, okay? We've also been told that there is an element in the basement. And if those of you who are not familiar with an element is a spirit that never took human form. And that would kind of make sense, because another part of history of Pulaski, and I don't know if you know Pulaski's the home of the KKK. So there sure was a lot of things that weren't written about and weren't documented in this town. We're right across the street from the courthouse, so I'm sure lots of things happened on this land that were never documented. But let's go farther back in history. We are located on the Trail of Tears. We know the Cherokee Indians summered here and were moved through this area. So would an element be unrealistic to think that was conjured up by Native Americans and stayed here? No. And also in the basement, we have been told that there is an Indian chief and an Indian girl. So you may interact with them tonight, but again, with a vortex or a portal, anything can come through.
Last time I was here, they talked to a friend of a girl that was investigating that had been murdered, and she was doing a flashlight like crazy. So
We've also
it's
had
like anybody could come with
things thrown at people downstairs, rocks, pieces of brick from the walls, chairs that people have been sitting in have been shaken, shadow figures. So it is a different environment downstairs. A little bit darker. Nothing to really be, like there's nothing demonic here, otherwise I wouldn't do these. It's just be a little bit more aware that there's something a little darker down there than what you'll find upstairs. And that's it. That's my end of my spiel. So I'm going to take you guys. I'm going to take you guys on a tour, let you see the areas that you can go through. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. Any trash, any batteries that you change out, please just pick them up. Otherwise, we have to go behind you and pick them up. Not allowed to go on stage to investigate. This is a working theater. So there are props, there are costumes. I know it's really exciting to want to try them on and take pictures and post them, but please don't do that. Any door that's closed backstage, please do not enter. And upstairs, we do have metal cables that are holding the walls up. You can go under them, just don't like not stand on, but bounce on them or lean against them. They are holding the walls up. The stage slants for a reason, so people can see people performing towards the back, and then the floor actually, where the seats would be, does have the opposite slant. Just be mindful of your footing. You can go up into the basement, but the railing is probably only about to your knees. So if you have any kind of vertigo, or if it's kind of a fun house effect because it does lean in, just stick to the wall, closer to the wall, okay? There are patches of wood that are a little bit more deteriorated than others, but nothing is unsafe where you can't go. Just be mindful of your steps, okay? Any questions before?
Is there any, we got extra cameras that we can leave or something that we can leave in a place? Where would be the most likely place to leave something?
To be honest with you, I would not leave them in the actual opera house, because if you've got any kind of night vision, it's just dusk galore. It just looks like it's snowing. Okay. Any of the outer offices is probably going to be a better bet to leave them, or you can leave them downstairs in the basement.
Do y'all see orbs in the basement? Just speaking of the basement, or?
I personally have not seen any orbs out. I don't really like the basement. I try not to go down there. I especially will not go down there by myself.
That's where I'll be when I'm investigating.
But I have had people say that they have seen them. They've actually, one lady came up and said that she saw like a floating head, like when someone puts a flashlight under their chin. She saw a head kind of floating by. I was like, that's just another reason for me not to go down there.
That's probably linked to the. That's probably linked to the vortex, you know.
I hear things.
I'm Cherokee, so that's where
Like I said, I'm here by myself a lot. I hear things and I try to be like, yeah, I didn't hear that. There was one time I was like setting up my t-shirts and I hear like the Predator clicking noise behind me. I'm like, not turning around. But they do that. They do that to get your attention. I don't know that they do that to scare you. They might think it's funny. I don't know. But I'm like, when I call my friend, I'm like, you need to come now. There's predators here. But there's nothing here that's, like I said, demonic. Nobody's been possessed. I mean, it's just, they're trying to get your attention. Any other questions? Ready to go? Okay. Like I said, up here you can investigate if you'd like. We're going to go down to the basement first, and then to go into the opera house, we have to go outside, up and around. Okay. All right, let's go. This way, please.
Go ahead.
Jane, is this your water?
No.
No? That was there. Oh, okay. Okay. You guys ready?
Lead the way on the spook train. Okay, guys, so we have lightning and storms around us, which is super awesome because that means the spirits can harness that energy to manifest. Because I seen something black, because your shirt's lit up, you know, I saw something black go
Past me.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna hide in the dark, you real blood.
It blocked that little bit of your wording. It was like a quick.
Weird.
It was like a quick whoosh.
Like a shadow.
Yeah.